What's up everybody, Noah from Stage 3 Motorsports, and I'm here today with the Pace Edwards Switchblade tonneau cover for F150s and Raptors. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing installed on our 2013 Raptor here, but step one is gonna be to pop this open and make sure we have all the pieces we need. So when you open up your box, a couple things you should have are your passenger and driver side rails, the actual tonneau itself, which is mounted into this storage box, the cap that goes on top of that to keep all the elements out, and then you'll also have some drains here for the bottom, a little bit of hardware, foam insert, and then an extra box of hardware that's usually packed into the foam, so you gotta search a little bit to find that. But as long as you've got all these pieces, now we can go ahead and get started on actually installing it. With our bed all emptied out, free and clear, we're gonna go ahead and take the box and position it towards the bulkhead where the cab is. It's just gonna rest on the tabs on the side. We'll get it pushed up against there, make sure it's all flat and flush. And then we can also pull out the strap and lay this down in the bed. Now obviously you'll have two rails, one for the passenger side and one for the driver side of your bed. And we're gonna do the passenger side first, but the driver side install is gonna be exactly the same. Now the first thing you need to figure out is which rail is which, and they do actually label them on the bottom with a little sticker that'll say right and left. So we've got our right side here. Then the next thing you're gonna need to do is also peel off the little protector over the foam on the bottom of the rail. Get that clear here. And now lastly, you just have to identify front and back, and basically the section that's gonna go up against the actual tonneau box is open, and the section that's gonna be up against your tailgate has a plastic cap on it. So with that being said, you can then get this lined up and slot it onto the tonneau. Now inside your box, typically underneath the lid for the actual tonneau box, there'll be a little alcohol pad taped in there, and this actually has lubricant on it for the rails. So we're gonna go ahead and just run this along the rubber seal on the inside and get everything all wiped down. And this will allow the tonneau to continue to slide freely and smoothly without any issues down the road. Next, you're going to want to go into your hardware kit and get the two screws out of there, as well as the lock washer and flat washer, and you'll basically layer it in, lock washer first, then flat washer on top. And you also want to grab a ratchet with a 7/16 socket on there. This is going to allow you to tighten up this bolt right where the rail connects with the box, and that's going to hold it in place so it doesn't slide back out. Now go ahead and just repeat the same process on this side. All right, so now we need to install the clamps that actually hold the rail to the bed. And it's kind of a weird design that they use, but basically you're gonna have two metal pieces that are gonna sit together, and one side is threaded on the back, the other side has a hole in the front. And then you'll also get this kind of bolt with a big plastic head on it. You'll wanna put your lock washer and flat washer in there, and that's gonna go through the front and tighten into the back to lock this rail to the actual bed. And there is gonna be two for each side. The channel on the top here is what's gonna line up into the channel on the bottom of your rail. So you just have to find where that cutout is and get this thing positioned. And you can go ahead and slide it forward once you have it on. Then we're gonna grab this L-shaped bracket with the bottom of the L pointed towards us, and we're gonna position that to where we can thread this through. Now as you tighten, you'll wanna shift that L-shaped bracket upwards so it's getting inside of the actual bed rail here to pull against it. And you can just crank it down by hand. Now on the two clamps closest to your tailgate at the end of your bed, you're gonna need to install this little kickstand device that Pace Edwards provides, and this is basically gonna stabilize your rail and push it against the bed a little bit more so that way it stays nice and flat and it doesn't flex or cause the tonneau to retract accidentally. You'll see that in the bottom of the clamp that you installed, there's a hole that goes through, and you're gonna go ahead and just slide the threaded section of that kickstand on there. Then you're gonna take your wing nut, lock nut, and flat washer, slide those onto the other side. And you want to tighten this down just a little bit to make sure everything stays on, but you still want to be able to rotate this. With these F-150 and Raptor beds, there's kind of a slanted section at the top here. So we're gonna position the pad of the kickstand against that slanted section a little bit. So once you have that in place, you can tighten that down and tighten down your wing nut on the end to make sure none of this shifts. And then once that's in position, you'll see that your rail is much more steady and it should sit perfectly flat. With both of your rails tightened down, now's a good time to grab this strap that's connected to the tonneau and hop out of your bed. And right here is where you're gonna wanna go ahead and just make sure that this pulls out like it's supposed to and that it locks into place. And then we're also gonna test and make sure that the tailgate closes. So looks like we got our clearances right. Everything is closed up and we're not having any clearance problems. Now, if you guys do shut it and the tailgate isn't able to close or it's hitting the rails or you're having problems, you may need to go back and loosen those clamps a bit and make sure your box is shifted all the way to the end of the bed. Now to release it, there's two little tabs here that you're gonna pinch, and that's gonna allow it to slide back into the box. Now that we've confirmed that the tonneau works and slides in and out properly, we need to go ahead and address this section at the bulkhead of the bed. What you're gonna wanna do is wipe down this bulkhead section with water or some sort of cleaner that isn't gonna leave residue to make sure that that's easy to stick to. And then we'll go ahead and lay this across and cut it to length. Now, our truck does have a spray-in bed liner, and this stuff doesn't always stick super well to spray-in liners. So for those of you guys with just a bare metal bed, this will probably work a lot better. Those of you that do have a spray-in liner, you may not need to use this because there is a rubber seal on the back of that cover that's gonna push against this anyways. All right, so now as you can see, we've got this pressed down into place, and they do give you quite a bit of extra. So you're just gonna need to take scissors or a knife and go ahead and cut that short real quick. The next step is gonna be to grab this cover for the top of your box, and the side that's facing outwards towards the tailgate is gonna have this kind of brush along the bottom. The side that's gonna go up against the cab is gonna have this rubber seal. So once you have that sorted out, go ahead and just lay this over the top, and you'll see that there's 4 holes on the corners that are gonna go ahead and line up to the holes underneath. Now take these 4 black Phillips head screws that are provided and go ahead and drop those into place, and then just take your screwdriver to tighten them down. The final step is to go ahead and take these 2 drain hoses that they provided and stick them into the holes in the bottom of your box. This will allow water or debris to kind of just run out the bottom, and you can either drain it into your bed or poke holes through the plastic end caps that you have in there to allow this to drain outside of the bed. That way you don't have any water buildup, but for the time being, we're just gonna punch these in the bottom. With everything assembled, we'll go ahead and pull the cover out, lock it into place there. And at the end of your strap, you'll notice there's actually a Velcro section. This is gonna allow you to go ahead and just run that through your tow hook. And that makes sure that the strap doesn't blow to the end of the bed where you can't reach it. And so whenever you lower your tailgate, it's right there. Then with that, we can close this up. And that's gonna wrap up the install on this Pace Edwards Switchblade. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.